Just to add a little bit to what Trey said, some of the money that was spent out of that money was to do a phase 1 and phase 2 environmental study, which I know a lot of people don't know what it is, but there was one done during the initial purchase of the property that was given to the city. The reason they're spending some of that money now in order to go after this grant is the EPA timelines state that they're only good for so many years. Well, that phase 1 study they had has expired, so they have to redo this in order to. But the $150,000 or so that they're spending on this is a small amount compared to the couple million we're looking to get to clean this site up. It needs to be cleaned up. It needs to become buildable ready so we can get some developers in here and do something with that property to bring income into the city.
This one will be for Mr. Fratelli, then sneak around. Can you explain how taxpayers will feel safer when police cruisers are parked up to 3 miles outside of the city limits?
The police cruisers, I think, having lived here, I think what I share and what I understand from friends and neighbors, we have a tight-knit community. We have a safe community. I think what's important here is keeping it that way. It is, I think, basic principle and understanding that what police cruisers out into the community, wherever that is, there's exposure, there's recognition, there's a feeling of confidence. There's also added value from response time. When there's a call and that police cruiser is in the hands of the police officer, their response time, they're on the job immediately. Thank you.
Again, another issue that continues to come up around times of elections. And again, there are facts, there is information, and there have been studies done that show that the current system with allowing officers to take their patrol cars home, save the city money, provide better safety and quicker response times.
I think with the patrol cars being allowed to be driven home, I think what that does is that alleviates some of the problem of shift changes and things like that. When some of the officers are coming in, I know most of you know about the one that's parked out on the east side of town out by Minnewaga. When his shift starts, he's coming in, he can take calls on that side of town much quicker. So if there's an accident out there or something, we have a first responder there right away. And I think a lot of people appreciate knowing that we have that ability to let people take the car home. I know there are some people that don't think that it's right that we're paying for gas for them to drive home, but I do know that the city has done studies on this, and from what we're told, it is more cost effective.
They're right. This comes up constantly. And studies show that we are ahead financially as well as in terms of our safekeeping by sending those cars home with the officers. They take very good care of their cars because their lives depend on them, as many other lives do. So it's a different attitude than a car that you pick up in the parking lot and drive for 8 hours and then leave it for the next fellow with maybe a few empty coffee cups and a few other things. You won't find their cars looking like that. They take great pride in them. It's faster response time. It's economical. We have recently, the acting police chief, John LaJoy, has recently ruled that you must live within 3 miles of the station in order to take your car home. And that also will speed up response time in some special cases. So it's a good policy. Well, I value the opinion of our police chief, Majoy, and in the past, our police cruisers were parked much further than 3 miles, as you know, some in Bellevue, some in Milan, some in Minnewaga. Within 3 miles of the city limits, the officers did not pay for their gasoline. But within 3 to 6 miles, the officers were required to pay $10 a month. Within 7 to 10 miles, they were required to pay $20 a month. Now, he's grandfathering that, yes, but we're phasing that out, and we're bringing our cruisers closer to the city where they'll be more accessible to us.
I think Chief Majoy has put together a good plan to phase out some of the long-distance cars that are in neighboring communities. But I think also the visibility within 3 miles is good for all of our protection. When criminals or wrongdoers see a car somewhere, I think it's a little safer. They kind of slow down and quit speeding, that type of thing. But all in all, I think Chief Majoy has put together a good plan, and I think it will work.
When I first got on council, I thought one of the most ridiculous things was that each policeman had his own car. I thought, boy, what a waste of money, gasoline and so on and so forth. But then you talk to Chief Majoy and other police officers that have their own car and can drive it home. It takes away from maintenance. They don't have to, everybody's using the same car 24 hours a day. They can use their own. And Chief Majoy just recently, as Mrs. Shearer said, this comes up all the time, said that it's a matter of seconds that these policemen will respond to any kind of a problem, emergency, whatever the case might be. So I guess I changed my mind in a hurry because it does save money and the response time is still very, very quick.
As you've heard, there is some value to officers taking their cars home. My son is an officer in another venue, and they're allowed to take their cars home, but they have to live in the limits of that community. I questioned the distance that these people were taking these cars, and questioned the ability to get here in a quick response time. The community is only 5 miles across, 5 square miles. So actually some of those officers probably took them longer to get here than they did to go through the community. But as you see, Chief Majoy has made some changes. We're bringing that in line. And I think that as the organization grows and develops in a positive direction, you'll see more cost savings and improved services.
I believe that officers should have their own cruisers. The only thing I really question is if there's somebody living in Bellevue or Milan, I don't see where the response time is going to be any different. By the time they would get here, generally speaking, the situation would probably be under control. But I do believe that if John's got it down to 3 miles within the city, that's feasible, good to me.
This question is for Mr. Hardy. What will you do to ensure that Huron has better and cleaner water that is safe for our families?
Well, up until about a couple weeks ago, I know they sent home a notice in the mail about some issues at the water plant, but I was informed that issues were caught and also dealt with prior to the residents receiving the water in their own homes. I think we have to work well, communicate well with the city, the water department, or whatever the name of the official name of the department is, that they're following the policies that we're laying down as council members, and make sure they're checking the water appropriately and they're doing all the proper tests.